This is Matt Coyne, host of The Cheap Seats. Thank you for listening to the following broadcast here on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
In 2014, Germany shocked the world by putting together one of the most talented and most dominant rosters in soccer history.
Götze! It's Mario Götze!
Argentina, they were so close, yet couldn't put it together when it most mattered. Now you've got an Argentina team that's hungry for revenge.
Messi! And Yeva couldn't stop it!
But what about England?
Pass to Rooney. Sturridge in the middle, there he is, goal!
Or France?
And Sissoko! They're running riot!
Or Spain?
It's broken for Fabregas, now it's Iniesta! This is it! That's the goal!
All 32 teams in this tournament are vying for the opportunity to hoist the World Cup trophy.
Still Gervinho! Oh, he's done it!
If you want to be a part of the action at Russia 2018, you're going to need your soccer passport, the World Cup edition. At Public House Media, we are excited to launch a new soccer podcast called Your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition. Come alongside hosts and fans and guests from around the world as we bring you all the action from the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Because who knows, anything can happen in the FIFA World Cup.
What about that? It's John Brooks!
So come on, grab your soccer passport and join us for all the action from Russia 2018.
A sensational volley!
Welcome to your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition, presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Ivan Sanchez. Before we start today's podcast, remember to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and check out all the other podcasts on the Public House Media platform. Today I'll be going at it alone, and we're going to recap all of the second game's actions while looking forward to the last day of group play for all the groups. At this point, a lot of teams have been eliminated. Some teams have qualified, but there's still a lot to figure out. Let's get right into it. Group A, Russia, Uruguay, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. And in Group A, you have Russia leading the group with 6 points, along with Uruguay. They're both qualified. Russia sits on top with a 7-point goal differential, while Uruguay has a 2-goal differential. While Egypt and Saudi Arabia will play each other to see who will finish third in the group. They're both eliminated. Just to get that game out of the way real quick, I believe Egypt will win. You got Mo Salah looking to play, looking to give a spark to their country, let them have a good moment in the World Cup. They've been out. I'm not going to say they've been disappointing just because their best player and one of the best players in the world has been out with a shoulder injury. He was not able to make a huge impact in the last game. I expect something a little more out of this game against a Saudi Arabia team who also, after a very embarrassing first game against Russia, came back and lost 1-0 to Uruguay on a keeper mistake. Still, I think Egypt's going to come out of that one with a win, get the 3 points. They'll finish third. They're both eliminated. The big game in that group will be Russia against Uruguay. Uruguay needs to win the group. They have not yet clicked on all cylinders as people were expecting or hoping. Instead, they've kind of gone back to the style and the way Uruguay has been known to play for a while. The very defensive, aggressive. You hate to play against them because you know you're going to get from them. They've lacked that goal so far. David Suarez, only one who's been able to score for Uruguay up top. He got a goal, and that was off a keeper mistake when he came out and misjudged the ball in a corner. Cavalli has yet to score. But with that saying, they're getting results, which is important to do, and they're getting the kind of results that Uruguay would get in the tournament of this manner, where they're kind of relying on their discipline, their physicality, and just the way people don't like playing against them because it's it's a rough 90 minutes. It's a physical 90 minutes. They never quit. They play hard the whole time. Russia have been one of the surprises of the tournament. They've scored an immaculate 8 goals, 5 against Saudi Arabia, 3 against Egypt, 4 and 8 goals. But this is going to be their first big test in the tournament when Uruguay team who's going to be. It's not going to be fun for Russia. They're not going to be able to use their physicality as much and use their big bodies. I still think Uruguay is going to win this game and win the group. Russia has been a surprise, but I don't know if that's more because of Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, or more on Russia and maybe we just underestimated them. I'm still not buying Russia stock. If you want to buy my Russia stock, go ahead. I'll sell it to you. I think it's been in part of it because they're hosting, and the other part they played well and they surprised people, but they haven't been tested yet the way some of these other teams that aren't named, Belgium and England. But everybody else has been pretty battle tested so far. Um, but yeah, that's going to be Group A. You have Russia sitting on top with 6 points, Uruguay right behind them with 6 points. They're playing tomorrow head to head. Winner wins the group. A draw leaves Russia in first, Uruguay in second. I personally think Uruguay is going to pull out with the victory. By the time this podcast comes out on Monday afternoon, the games will have been played. And hopefully, Uruguay is winning the group, so I look like I'm correct. In our next group, we have Group B, and you have Portugal and Spain tied on top 1 and 2 with the same amount of goal differential and same amount of goals against, same amount of points. Spain plays Morocco, Portugal plays Iran, and the way the last games of the groups are set up, FIFA puts all the teams who play in Group A, all the teams who play in Group B, all the teams in Group C, they play simultaneously at the same time. You get a game at 7 in the morning Pacific time. That's where I'm located in Portland, Oregon. And then you'll get a game later. You'll get 2 games later. And so they play at the same time. These teams don't know what's happening for the most part during the games with the other games. So it's really a crapshoot. That's the way I set it up. You get 4 games a day. These next 4 games, they're playing at the same time. It leads to something interesting where one result for one game shifts what a team needs to do in the other game. That's what makes it intriguing. Spain and Portugal are sitting 1-2 on top, but right behind them is Iran with 3 points. Iran plays Portugal. Quickly, let's talk about the Spain-Morocco game because I think Spain's going to win. Is going to beat Morocco, and we'll finish first in the group. Spain have looked good, not great. They haven't clicked on all cylinders, partially because that could be because they've had a coach who's been in charge for still not even 10 days yet, or maybe it's been 10 days, but they've had a coach who's been with them for less than 2 weeks. And what I like about this Spain team is that they're getting results, they're getting goals, and they haven't been at full cylinder yet, but you can see the potentials there. They have the talent. And Diego Costa is one of the X factors for this team. And I like that because Diego Costa has that edge that a lot of these Spanish players don't have, especially up top. He's gritty. He's the kind of player that I think you want to play for or play with if he's your teammate. And when he's not there, or when you play against him, you hate playing against him because he's a nuisance and he's constantly attacking you and he's getting under your skin and he's pestering you. But when he's on your team, he's the kind of guy you want because he is going to frustrate defenders and he's going to make life hell for everybody he's playing against. And that's the kind of thing that Spain, I think, missed last World Cup, and I think they're getting it this time around. I think they're going to beat a Morocco team who, unfortunately, is eliminated at this point. They've played not getting a point out of their first 2 games doesn't do justice for the way Morocco has played. Unfortunately, that's part of the game in this World Cup, and we'll talk about that with a few other teams in these other groups where the football's been there, the soccer's been there, but they haven't gotten the reward of goals, and Unfortunately, especially in these short tournaments where you play a small amount of games in a short amount of time, you need to score goals. You need to get rewards for what you're doing. Some teams have been able to do that while others haven't, and you're seeing the results when you have not been able to do that. Morocco has been an example of a team who has played well, has created chances, was probably the better in both games against Iran and against Portugal, but they never got the fruits of their rewards. And now you see them essentially playing consolation game against Spain for this. The game that's really, I think, really interesting is going to be Portugal against Iran. Iran frustrated Spain for large portions of that game. They sat back, they defended. They're going to have to be a little more open, a little more attacking off the bat against Portugal because they need a goal. But Portugal doesn't look great. They were better. They were the second best team in both games. To be honest with you, it just so happened they have one of the best players in the world in Cristiano Ronaldo. To see how far they can take him, he can take them will be a good test, especially against this feisty and this battle tested Iran team who hasn't lost, who lost their first game, their first official game last game against Spain for the first time in a couple of years because they went undefeated in qualifying in Asia. So, and then in the Asia Cup they lost to Iraq in penalty kicks. So they haven't lost a game in regular time yet, besides the Spain game in a couple of years. And they're gonna take some confidence out of that Spain game, how they played. They created a few chances. They scored a goal that was ruled offsides, rightfully so at the end. But this is the type of game where Portugal tend to drop their heads. They've been known to get upset in these moments. So I think just because they still do have the best player, one of the best players in the world, in Cristiano Ronaldo, they are favorites to go through. But look out for Iran. If they get a goal, they're going to build off that confidence, and it's going to be very difficult for Portugal to get themselves back in the game. They're going to get Iran will know how to frustrate Portugal and will know how to make that game very difficult, especially if they're able to score first. Um, my predictions: I think Spain gets first, tops the group. They looking forward to the knockout stage because the way these groups are set up, I expect Spain to get first, set themselves up against Russia. I look for Uruguay to play probably Portugal, but don't sleep on Iran. This is a very cohesive group. They're playing for each other, and they can pull off the upset against Portugal. All right. I still think Portugal are favorites, but keep an eye out for Iran. They can do it. Moving on to Group C, we have France, who's already qualified, sits on top with 6 points out of their first 2 games. You have Denmark in second with 4 points. You have Australia behind with 1, and you have Portugal out of the contention with 0 points. Another team who we talked about who played well, who created chances, but just haven't been able to find a goal and finish. It's been unfortunate for them. They've been one of the more, when you watch them play, you cheer for Peru. They play a attacking style. They create chances. They just haven't been able to find the goal. And I think Peru has been one of those teams who you wanted to hope for more just because you like the players, you like what you've seen. Guerrero, well, not to be cliche and talk and compare and translate his name to what he is, but yeah, he's been a warrior. It's been a fun team to watch. Unfortunately, they haven't created goals. They're going to take it just to quickly get this Australia game out of the way. Australia needs a win to qualify and hope for a Denmark loss, and then you go into goal differential. I quite frankly don't see that happening. I think without assuming or saying these teams will talk about things in advance, there is kind of what I call a wink-wink game where France and Denmark will look at each other and be like, all right, we're going to rest some players. Maybe you rest some players, and we kind of sit back for a draw. We both qualify. Let's both avoid injuries, and let's move forward and think about the next steps, the knockout stages of the group. Denmark has not looked fantastic, but they've been good enough. Eriksson, still a world-class player. He can win you a game. France has gotten the type of results that you look for a team to make a deep run. They do. They're gritting it out. It's been two hard fought victories. They haven't dazzled us and blown us out the water the way we hoped, but they've been uh, good enough, and they haven't allowed a goal. They've allowed a goal in a PK. They haven't allowed a goal in open play yet. But in the knockout stage of these tournaments, where the games aren't as free flowing and everything kind of gets knocked down and gets more concentrated a little bit, these are the kind of results where France will look at the group stage and be like, all right, we know how to grind out victories. We have the best defensive midfielder in Conte. We have one of the best center backs in Varane. We have a good goalkeeper in Hugo. We still have the attack that can get us goal with Mbappe, with Griezmann, with Pogba. And look out for Pogba. He's getting better. He could completely control the game against Peru. People don't tend not to like his style, his very nonchalant demeanor, but when he's on and he's spraying balls around, he's creating chance, he's setting up people to set up other people. That's when France is dangerous, and I think they are on course to continue to do what they're doing. It hasn't been what I think everybody was hoping for, but when you look at some of these other teams that we're going to get to later, or even when you look at Uruguay, um, France is going about still a little at a better rate, or doing it still a little better than a lot of these other teams. And yeah, look for Denmark and uh, France to finish 1-2 in that group. I still think the champ is not the right coach for this team, but for France, I think that will come at a later time in a knockout stage where he could possibly get out coached. But not right now. France finishes first, Denmark second, Australia and Peru battle it out. Don't be surprised if Peru gets a victory here and leaves with pride and gives their fans a victory to enjoy the World Cup moment. All right, now moving on to Group D, we have Croatia sitting up top with 6 points, Nigeria with 3, Iceland and Argentina tied with 1. Iceland sits on third with a goal differential of -2. Argentina sits last with a differential of -3. You have in the last group stage Nigeria against Argentina, Croatia against Iceland. Croatia finally stepping up in the big moment in a World Cup this century, beating Argentina 3-0 in the second game of the group. And in the next game, in the other game in that group, Nigeria 2-0 beats Iceland, which was actually a great result for Argentina, because now pretty much all they have to do to get through is beat Nigeria and hope for Croatia to either draw or beat Iceland, and then you get in the goal differential. Honestly, I don't see where Iceland's going to be able to find the goals to beat Croatia. Croatia, very talented, a lot of great players. They're riding a momentum. They finally got a signature win in a big moment when you look at the players on this team, like Madric, Rakitic, Mandzukic, Petrovic, Lovin. They finally got a victory in this World Cup in a moment where they were expected to. They didn't crumble under pressure. They took it to Argentina. Defensively, they found a way to cut the supply off of Argentina in their style of play. Too messy to get the ball on in the midfield. I mean, they have two of the best. They have one of the best 2-3 midfielders in the world, and Luka Modric, and then right next to him you have Ivan Rakitic, and it looks like they finally found a way for them to both play well together on the same team. For a lot of Croatia's problems, they've had in the midfield with that connection of Rakitic and Modric. They reminded me a lot of the way you had Lampard and Gerrard in England, where they kind of just stepped on each other's toes because they did a lot of the same things, and that means one of them has to sacrifice their most positive and attacking, and what makes them the best at what they do. They had to sacrifice that a little bit for the other one to shine. They kind of figured that out a little bit better in that game against Argentina. Um, I don't know how much it take of Croatia frustrating Argentina to the point where Argentina collapsed, or how much it was Argentina just of Sampioli just not getting it right against that game. Sampioli's coaching against Croatia was absolutely horrendous for Argentina, and that team was in calamity. And it cannot all be on Messi that last game against Croatia. I mean, Nicolas Otamendi, a league-winning defender with Man City. People were talking about him that he had turned up, that he's become this world-class defender, this and that. He was so important for this Argentina team because their midfield is kind of weak and he's controlling this back line. He looked not to be bothered. He should have gone red carded for kicking the ball at Rakitic. Willie Caballero's huge mistake that led to the first goal against Croatia. I mean, Messi needs to take part of responsibility because he's the captain. As a captain, you look for him to kind of get everything straight. But Sampioli's coaching was absolutely horrendous. His subbing was as equally horrendous as his starting lineup that game. Why do you take out El Kun Higuain and put in or why do you take out El Kun Agüero, put in Higuain? Why don't you play both of them together? You need goals. Why are you taking one out? Why are you taking a forward for forward when you need attack? It's just seems this team has run out of ideas. But they have a lifeline. With all that said, with a win, Argentina is through. They play a Nigeria team who got a good win against Iceland. But Nigeria also lacks consistency. And even though Musa got that double goal against Iceland, they finally were able to break him down in the second half, and they looked very good. Can they do it for 2 games in a row? That's been the question with Nigeria, not only this tournament, but in other tournaments in the past. Can they, the expectations and the potential of what this team can do, can they do it consistently? And that's a big step for them. That's a big step for them. That's a big step for Argentina, battling out for that second spot. Can when the pressure's on Nigeria to get a result against a big boy like Argentina, can they get it? I think Croatia gets a result against Iceland, knocks Iceland out, whether it's a draw and whether it's a win. Croatia will sit top of the group. After that, it's an uphill battle for Argentina. They still have the best player in the world in Messi, but you tend to see this in these tournaments. Once something starts to go sour for a team, and there's these short amount of turnover time from one game to the other, and these guys are locked together in these close-knit communities away from everybody else, away from their family, kind of isolated. Things can get sour very quickly. And after that game you saw against Croatia, it's easy to see how these guys can turn each other and they can't wait to go home. They just want this to be over and they want to just go on vacation. They're done with this. And so I'm not going to pick Argentina to go through. I think Nigeria, they're going to take that momentum from that last game and they're going to get a result. But still, Argentina still does have Messi and he can win you a game. He's the best player in the world. Now the spotlight's really going to be on him more than ever. And also, how do you not want to see a France-Argentina game in the round of 16? That's such a tasty matchup in the round of 16 because if Argentina finishes second, they play most likely France, and what a knockout game that would be. So I think Nigeria will find a way to get a result, but I kind of want Argentina to win because then you get this matchup against France. Messi still plays, and Sampioli will probably be ridiculously dressed again for another game, and it makes for good talk too. Yeah, that's Group D, one of the most interesting groups so far. It's a toss-up with Argentina and Nigeria. Can Nigeria, when the pressure's on them, get a result? Can Argentina, with Messi, all the pressure on him, can he get a result? Two teams hoping to turn some of the negativity that's been around them to positivity. Croatia running high. Can they keep that momentum going? Group C is going to be interesting. Those games going to be on Tuesday. Group D is fascinating tasting. A lot of things to look forward to for those matchups. Group B, you have Brazil playing Serbia, Switzerland playing Costa Rica. Brazil sits on top with Switzerland both on 4 points. Brazil has a goal differential of 2, while Switzerland has a goal differential of 1. That's why they sit on top. Behind them, they have Serbia with 3 points. Costa Rica, unfortunately, eliminated with 0 points. Costa Rica plays Switzerland. Brazil plays Serbia. Pressure going to be on Brazil because I think Switzerland will get a result against Costa Rica. Costa Rica has played pretty well. They're unfortunate. They held Brazil 0-0 till the 90th minute. Brazil was able to get 2 on them. Still, they've lacked that attack and that counter that they had 4 years ago. And they were the team this tournament that people were expecting to be a team last tournament 4 years ago. And Costa Rica, unfortunately, even with the magic that Keylor Navas has, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, the rest of the team hasn't been able to help them get results. They have not scored yet. You need to score to advance in this tournament. And it would have been nice if Costa Rica would have been able to score early in one of these other games. Then they would be able to rely on their 5-3-2 formation, sit back, allow Keylor Navas to do Keylor Navas things. That won't be the case throughout the tournament. I think Switzerland gets a victory here, which sets up Brazil and Serbia for a battle where Serbia's physicality against Brazil's tenacity. Brazil's played well so far in this tournament. They've created a lot of chances. Teams are playing them very physically and they're playing them very aggressively. They're a lot of kicking, a lot borderline dirty. And it got to Neymar and company at the end of that Costa Rica game as they battled to get a result. It's hard to say because I think these teams are going to continue to play Brazil that way, and which is not the way Brazil wants to play. Brazil wants this opening, this free flowing style where teams can go back at each other, and Brazil's hoping that their 11 is better than the other team's 11 when they're just going at each other, just two teams wanting to attack. Because besides probably Spain, France, and Germany, they do have the best 11 with those other 3 teams. But that's not what these teams are doing. These teams are playing Neymar very tight to the vest. They're fouling. They're frustrating them. It's not only Neymar; they're doing it to Coutinho as well. Jesus hasn't gone off. Hasn't been what we've seen from Man City yet, but Brazil's played well. It's a hard. I mean, it hasn't been what they've been hoping for, but Serbia losing that heartbreaker to Switzerland, I think, will end. Serbia's going to have to open up and be more aggressive. They need to find the goal. I think that's going to open up Brazil more, a game where teams aren't going to be looking for a draw. This team needs a victory against Brazil. So I think that's going to be what's going to be the difference for them. I wouldn't be surprised if Brazil wins this game in a high score line, 2-0, 3-0, builds a little momentum just because Serbia needs to attack. I think both Switzerland and Brazil get out of here with victories. Serbia's played well this tournament, but not enough to do something in this group. I think they're at the end of the game. Don't be surprised if their physicality gets under the skin of Brazil with a large lead. Brazil is kind of just continuing along, similar to the way France has been, where these teams haven't clicked and haven't given us what we wanted, what we expected out of them in this World Cup, but it's been enough to keep moving on, and that's what you need to do. and then you wait in the knockout stage, and hopefully that opens up a little more with the higher quality opponents and teams not sitting back as much. But yeah, Group E, go look for Brazil to get first, Switzerland to get second. Moving on to Group F, you have Mexico surprisingly sitting on top with 6 points, Germany with 3, Sweden with 3, South Korea with 0. Technically, all 4 teams are still in it. Mexico has played fantastic soccer so far, which makes me very happy. They have, at times, I'm going to use the word dazzled. At times they've been gritty and they found a way. They found a way to get results. Um, yeah, I've been very happy with the way Mexico's played. They got a very professional win against South Korea. South Korea a little more physical and aggressive than what I expected out of them. Mexico never played down to their level per se in that regard, where they were in teams past, they would be frustrated by that physicality. You didn't see that from this Mexico team on the other day against South Korea. They just played very good soccer. They were able to get a couple of goals on him. Son was still Son, the best player for South Korea, and he scored a fantastic goal against Mexico. And he was dangerous, but he's been the only dangerous player for South Korea. Played a little more central than he did against Switzerland or Sweden, and used his speed to get past Mexico a couple times. And he got his reward for South Korea in the final minute, where he scored an amazing goal. But Song Heung-min has the rest of his team has failed him for South Korea, and so look for Germany to really take advantage of that and get a win against South Korea, which is going to put pressure on both Sweden and Mexico. Sweden lost a heartbreaker to Germany the other day. They had them 1-1 with a man up, and in the 94th minute, entering the 95th minute, Toni Kroos, German midfielder, just being one of the best midfielders in the world, puts an absolute killer free kick on goal, scores the goal to give Germany a win, kind of gives them a new life, new pulse. This team had looked frustrated, not defeated the way Argentina did, but they looked frustrated, not happy. And it's interesting how quickly the game turns like that in a split second. A world class player does a world class thing, and all of a sudden now Germany has an eye on the next round, has an eye on winning the group possibly as well, and they haven't been the type of Germany. They haven't been the Germany we've expected. Similar with a lot of these big teams, they haven't lived up to what we thought they were going to be, but they've been able to get a result when it mattered. Pressure's on Mexico to at least get a draw against Sweden and continue how well they've played and continue to be one of the surprises of this tournament. The good thing for Mexico is that Sweden is going to have to open up and have to be aggressive and have to look for a goal. This is going to allow Mexico to not set up similarly to they did against Germany, but it's going to force Sweden to do something they're not comfortable with. Sweden have looked very organized and very structured and very happy playing this 4-4-2 system and having these very defined lines defensively and have these very fine lines in the attack. They're going to have to open up and have to be a little more daring against Mexico in this last group stage to look for a goal, to hope to get themselves in a position to qualify. That's going to open up gaps for Mexico that I don't think they were expecting to have in this last group stage. And so this could be a good thing for Mexico. Look, Sweden's back line is a little slow. They're big, they're physical, but they're not quick. And look for Mexico to expose that with the likes of Vela, with the likes of Chicharito, with the likes of Irving Lozano, with the likes of possibly somebody like Jesus Corona, or with the likes of somebody like Marco Fabian. These guys are going to look to pull and string Sweden along and look to take advantage of the fact that Sweden needs to open themselves up and expose themselves a little bit for this game. I'm confident that Mexico can get a result. I mean, naturally, my mentality as a Mexican is to think, what are all the possible outcomes? What are the most negative outcomes that could happen? Sweden could get could get an early goal on a free kick or a set piece, and then Germany quickly takes advantage of a defeated and frustrated South Korea, and now all of a sudden Mexico, after all they've done these last 2 games, are on the back foot. They need to get a result. Things start going bad, but for some reason, like similar with the way I see it hard for Argentina to turn it around so quickly after such a terrible performance. A lot of these teams are building off momentum from one game to the other, especially when they are building off positive results, and they're not fluky. I don't think Mexico. There's a different Mexico. It'll be interesting to see if this is a different Mexico where they can get a result and they don't subscribe to falling back the way we kind of us as Mexican fans are kind of trained to expect it to happen. Um, yeah, it would. So I'm going to say Mexico wins the group. Germany will finish second. I think that sets up a very tasty quarterfinal matchup between Brazil and Germany. Yeah, you kind of just hope as a Mexican fan that the positivity that Mexico has built up to this point, they continue, and they're not thinking about what could go wrong, but what opportunities are presented for them to expose a Sweden team who will need to look for a goal and need to look for a victory. We have 2 groups left. We have Group G. England and Belgium sit on top with 6 points each. They have a goal differential of 6. Both of them have scored 8 goals. Both have allowed 2. Sitting third and fourth, you have Tunisia and Panama. Quickly, Tunisia and Panama, to get them out of the way. Panama scored their first World Cup goal against England in a game where they were down 5-0 at halftime. We were expecting this. We were kind of expecting this result from Panama, a team who were happy to be there. First time at the World Cup. They're an older squad. I think it's really beautiful that Felipe Valois is the one who scored the goal for Panama, fixture in the Mexican Soccer League for many years. 37 years old, I believe. 37, 36. And, it's unfortunate that they got blown out the way they did, and especially in the first half, and they weren't able to hold the floodgates the way they did against Belgium. But, this is a pride game between Tunisia and Panama. They're both going to look for their chance because they both know this is their one opportunity to get a result. So look for that be a fun-flowing game for them. But the big matchup is Belgium-England. Who's going to win the group? Who wants to win the group? England have looked good. Belgium have also looked good. But, of course, they play Tunisia and Panama. These are their first big tests for each other or against each other. It'll be interesting to see how much each coach kind of puts how much they expose their team because they're both in it. I think they both fancy their chances against the teams that'll come out of Group H. This could be another, as I call, wink-wink game where both say we're going to make some changes. They both might be comfortable finishing first or second, and I don't think they really care that much. It's very hard. And by the time this game will be played on Thursday, most of the bracket of the knockout stage will already be set. They'll have a better idea of what they want to do. But it's hard to really play that game, be like, okay, we want to finish second because they might help us in the long run. We don't want to win this game because if we win this game, winning the group might make it more difficult in the knockout round. Looking ahead, it's hard to play that game. But I'm not 100% sure you're going to see fireworks from England, Belgium. I think both teams are going to hold back a little bit and have one eye set on that knockout stage. So I don't know what to expect out of these 2 teams, to be honest with you. I think Belgium still has more overall talent than England. England, these guys have looked good, though. Harry Kane has been good. He's scored a goal off his heel today, which was one of the most uninspiring hat tricks I've seen. 2 PKs and a goal where it just went off his foot, off a shot that wasn't his. But they've both gotten results when they need to get results. Both Belgium and England. We can't look down on that. I just don't know if they'll be ready when they actually have to play a game that matters against a team who are ready. And I don't think England and Belgium are going to bring that out of each other yet. So I'm just going to say Belgium wins the group. They have more talent. I think they're a better team. They're going to win the group. I think they're going to get a victory over England. So I think Belgium first, England second. I wouldn't put my money on that or anything of that manner. I still think these guys are going to be coasting until the knockout round, regardless. Finally, Group H. Japan sits on top with 4 points. Senegal at 4 points as well. Both have the same amount of goals for and goes against. Both have a goal differential of 1. Colombia right behind them with 3. Poland out. Poland have shown they are a fraud, that they are they worked the FIFA system to get one of those top 7 spots with the FIFA rankings to be one of the top 8 teams in the world by not playing friendly games, which go into the FIFA rankings, which it just shows how flawed the FIFA rankings are, where Poland were one of the top 8 teams. They lost to they were outplayed by Senegal. They got smoked by Colombia today. I don't want to spend that much time on Poland because they have been a joke. They have been a disappointment. They have been terrible this World Cup. And FIFA should look at Poland as to why their rankings are terrible and are garbage. Because Poland showed what a fraud they were, and they used that system for their advantage, try to get a good group out of this, and they got the worst possible group they could as one of the top 8 seeds in the tournament. This Poland could have cheated the system, and it could have worked in their favor if they would have gotten the group that Russia got, but they didn't. They got Japan, maybe the best team in Asia. They got Senegal, the best team in Africa. They got Colombia, quarterfinalists last World Cup and one of the best teams in the world, and they got exposed for what they were, a bad team with a world-class forward. And they got trounced against Colombia today 3-0. They were easily outplayed by a very good, a very disciplined, a very quality side in Senegal. I think Japan will go through in this group because Japan plays Poland. Japan got the 2 hardest games out of their group out of the way. They were fortunate to get Colombia with 10 men on an early red card and early PK, but that's not Japan's fault. Japan have been, without getting too much into cliches or too much into putting teams in a box, but they've been very disciplined. They haven't made that many mistakes. They've been attacking. Today's game against Senegal was an enjoyment to watch. Both teams went at each other. There was a contrast of styles. They both went for it. They both opened each other up. They both exposed each other. There's some world-class goals. Japan, I like for them to get a result against Poland. They will finish first or second. I'm not sure which one, but I think they're going to get a win. I think they're going to get a win. They're going to put themselves in a good position to win the group. They're going to take advantage of this joke that is Poland. One of the most disappointing teams in the tournament. The big game of this group is Senegal, Colombia. Why? Because Colombia got a much needed win, 3-0, but they're still trailing Senegal by 1 point. They need a win. Senegal is better than people thought they were. It's not only a team of it's not only a one-man team with Mane. They have a fantastic defense. They have a good midfield. They play an attacking and beautiful style. They're technical. The stereotypes that people think about African teams, oh, they're physical. Oh, they're strong. Oh, they're direct. Senegal has aspects of that, but it's not just that. They play soccer. They know how to play. They have a formation. They have a structure. It's been a joy to watch them play. This could be one of the best games of the group stage, Senegal-Colombia. Why? Because Colombia needs to attack. They need to get a goal. Senegal has the ability to withhold and withstand pressure, and they're also going to get at you. They're going to attack. They're going to attack Colombia. They're going to make life hell for Colombia. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I honestly don't know who to pick in this game because Colombia looked so good today. Hamas was showing the creativity and the sparks of what almost was 4 years ago in that last World Cup. But I think there's something special about the Senegal team. I think they're going to rally together. They're going to be like, hey, we got the win we needed against Poland. We were much better than Poland the first game. We battled Japan into a very good game where it was a fair draw. They're going to play Colombia without fear. And I think Colombia is going to be in for a rough 90 minutes. I think Senegal will be able to sustain. Maybe they might not win the game, but they're going to get the result they need. I think at least a draw. I think Colombia will be out. I think the two teams expected to get out of the group, Poland and Colombia, will be eliminated. I like that. I think this Senegal team is special in the fact that they're a cohesive unit. They believe in each other. I think they know their coach have them playing with a purpose, believing with each other and being something special here. And they've been fun to watch. And I think from what I've seen so far, I think Japan and Senegal have earned the ability to get out of this group. Yeah, I mean, if Colombia gets a win, that wouldn't surprise me. Colombia oozes talent. That their starting 11 is a fantastic starting 11. They might not have the same depth as some other teams, but that 11 is great. Guardado, Falcao, he met James. But Senegal looks like a team, not of destiny to make like to win the World Cup, but a team to make a splash like they did 16 years ago in 2002. I think they're gonna rise to the challenge and look Colombia in the eye and take it to them and get a result. They don't fear Colombia, and I like that. Yeah, I don't know who will get first between Japan and Senegal, but I think they're gonna be the two teams to get out. So yeah, just to recap, when this podcast comes out tomorrow on a Monday, Group A and Group B will already be played, but I'm going to say Uruguay gets first, Russia gets second, Spain gets first, Portugal gets second, eye on Iran, though. I think Iran could do it. I'm hesitant to say they will do it, but I mean, I do like Iran. They've been great. They've been battling. They've been feisty. I still think, and I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Portugal, but I think 1 and 2, Spain, Portugal, France, Denmark, Croatia, Nigeria, probably. But just because Argentina have been just such a fire, just been such trash on fire this World Cup and the qualifying as well leading up to this World Cup. It's not surprising once you actually look at the large spectrum of Argentina. They still have Messi, but that might not be enough. Croatia, Nigeria finish. Brazil 1, Switzerland 2 for me, and Mexico and Germany get out. Belgium and England 1-2, and then Senegal and Japan. Still not sure which one of those two get out, but yeah, those are my 16 teams. So yeah, I've been Ivan Sanchez Carrasco, your host for this podcast. Thank you for listening. This has been your Soccer Passport World Cup Edition podcast, presented by Public House Media. Follow, subscribe, leave a comment. Follow me. I got my writing going on babel.com. You can follow me on Twitter, ISCARR23, ISCAR23 on Twitter. Special shout out to 2 establishments here in Portland, 442 and Toffee Club, 2 soccer bars who have been showing all the games, have been putting on great atmospheres for the people of Portland to watch these games. They've been fun. I've loved this World Cup so far. I'm excited to see these last stages. I think there's some upsets and some surprises to be had. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to talking to you guys next time, and thank you so much. I'm out. Bye.